Captain Lee Daeho stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable and looked out at the stars. The ship was moving through space faster than light. This was something humans had only learned to do 5 years ago. Now they were going to meet aliens, for the first time. The Indomitable was not the biggest ship humans had ever built, but it was the most advanced. It was 2 kilometers long and carried 1,500 crew members. The ship had powerful weapons and strong shields. Most importantly, it had the new quantum fold drive that made faster-than-light travel possible. "Captain, we will reach the meeting point in 6 hours," said Lieutenant Commander Choi Min-ah from her station. She was the ship's tactical officer. Her job was to handle weapons and defense systems. Lee Dae-ho nodded. He had been thinking about this mission for months. Earth's government had picked him to lead humanity's first contact with alien life. It was a big responsibility. Everything he did could change the future of humanity. "Dr. Kim, are the translation systems ready?" the captain asked. Dr. Kim Tae-won looked up from his science station. He was the ship's chief science officer and one of the smartest people Lee Dae-ho had ever met. "Yes, Captain. We have studied all the radio signals we received from the aliens. Our computers should be able to translate their language." The radio signals had started coming to Earth 10 years ago. They were clearly from an advanced civilization. The messages talked about something called the Galactic Federation. This was a group of alien species that controlled most of the galaxy. At first, the aliens' messages seemed friendly. They said they wanted to meet humans and welcome them to the galaxy. But some things in the messages worried Earth's leaders. The aliens talked about proper placement and acceptable roles for new species. "Dr. Yoon, what do we know about the aliens we will meet?" Lee Dae-ho asked. Dr. Yoon Hai-ri was the ship's expert on alien life. She had spent years studying the radio signals and preparing for this moment. "The Federation has 3 main species. Captain, the Vorthak are made of living crystal. They seem to be the military leaders. The Nethys are beings of pure energy. They handle technology and science. The Quillex look like giant insects. They manage trade and resources. And they have been watching us for how long?" "We think they have been monitoring Earth's radio signals for at least 30 years, Dr. Yoon said. "Maybe longer." This fact troubled Lee Dae-ho. If the aliens had been watching Earth for so long, why did they wait until now to make contact? What had changed? Commander Woo Jin-soo walked onto the bridge. He was the ship's chief engineer and Lee Dae-ho's oldest friend. They had served together for 15 years. "Captain, I have been checking our quantum fold drive. Everything looks good, but I want to be ready for anything." "What do you mean?" Lee Dae-ho asked. "The aliens have been using faster-than-light travel for centuries. They might have technology we do not understand. If something goes wrong, I want to make sure we can get home." Lee Dae-ho appreciated Woo Jin-soo's careful thinking. The engineer always planned for problems before they happened. On Earth, Admiral Park So-jin was also worried. She commanded all of Earth's space defense forces. The Indomitable was humanity's most powerful ship, but it was still just one ship. If the aliens were hostile, Earth would be in great danger. Admiral Park stood in the command center deep under the mountains of Korea. Dozens of screens showed information from across the solar system. Earth had built defense stations around Mars and Jupiter, but they would not stop a truly advanced alien force. "Admiral, we are still receiving signals from the Indomitable," reported her aide. "They are on schedule to reach the meeting point." "Good. What about our other ships?" "The fleet is ready, Admiral. If Captain Lee sends a distress signal, we can have 5 ships at his location within 12 hours. Admiral Park knew 12 hours might be too long. Space was vast, and the meeting point was far from Earth. The Indomitable would be alone. Back on the Indomitable, the crew prepared for first contact. In the ship's marine section, Sergeant Major Bae Hyun-woo checked weapons and armor. He commanded 200 Marines. Their job was to protect the ship if negotiations went wrong. "Sergeant Major, "Do you really think we will need to fight?" asked one of the younger Marines. Bei Hyun-woo had fought in Earth's last war 20 years ago. He knew that peace was fragile. "I hope not, son, but hope is not a strategy. We prepare for war so we can have peace." In the ship's medical bay, doctors prepared for any kind of emergency. They did not know what alien diseases might exist. They also did not know if human medicine would work on aliens if they needed to help them. As the hours passed, tension grew throughout the ship. Everyone knew they were making history. The next few days would determine whether humanity joined the galaxy as friends or enemies. Lieutenant Park Dong-hyun sat at the helm station. He was one of the best pilots in Earth's fleet. His job was to fly the ship during the meeting. He had practiced emergency maneuvers for months. If they needed to run, he would get them out. "Captain, we are approaching the meeting point," he reported. Lee Dae-ho looked at the main screen. It showed empty space, but he knew alien ships were probably already there, watching and waiting. "All stations, report readiness," he ordered. One by one, his officers confirmed they were ready. Weapons were powered but not targeted. Shields were up but set to minimum power to show peaceful intent. The quantum fold drive was ready for immediate departure if needed. "Communications, send the agreed signal to announce our arrival," Lee Dae-ho said. The message went out into space. Now they could only wait for the aliens to respond. Humanity was about to learn its place in the galaxy. Lee Dae-ho hoped they would like what they discovered. The response came faster than expected. A massive ship appeared on the Indomitable's sensors. It was 3 times larger than the human vessel and shaped like a crystal mountain. This was clearly a Vorthak ship. "Incoming transmission, Captain," reported Lieutenant Oh Ji-hoon from the communications station. "Put it on screen," Lee Dae-ho ordered. The main screen showed an alien face made of living blue crystal. The being's voice came through the ship's speakers, translated by their computer. "Systems. I am Admiral Thissikoran of the Vorthak Empire. You are the humans from the 3rd planet of the Sol system. You will prepare to be boarded for inspection and registration." Lee Dae-ho felt his jaw tighten. This was not how the radio messages had described first contact. "Admiral Thissikoran, I am Captain Lee Dae-ho of the United Earth ship Indomitable. We come in peace to establish diplomatic relations." The crystal alien's face showed what might have been amusement. "Peace is maintained. Through order, human, your species will be evaluated and assigned proper duties within the Federation structure. Prepare to lower your defensive systems." Dr. Yoon Hae-ri stepped forward. As the ship's expert on alien contact, she had prepared for this moment. "Admiral, we would like to learn about Federation membership. What duties would humanity be assigned? That will be determined after evaluation. Your technology level suggests mining or basic manufacturing roles. Perhaps waste processing if you prove suitable." The bridge fell silent. Everyone understood what the alien was saying. Humanity was being offered slavery, not membership. Lee Dae-ho kept his voice calm. "Admiral, I believe there has been a misunderstanding. Earth seeks equal partnership in the galactic community, not subordinate status." The alien's crystal features seemed to darken. "Equal partnership? You have achieved faster-than-light travel only recently. Your planet has 1 star system. The Federation controls thousands. You will accept the role assigned to you." Dr. Kim Taewon was quietly working at his science station. His scans of the alien ship were revealing disturbing information. "Captain," he said softly, "I am detecting Earth origin materials in their ship's database. They have been collecting our transmissions and possibly physical samples for decades." Lee Dae-ho realized the implications immediately. The Federation had been studying humanity long before making contact. This meeting was not about negotiation. It was about collection. "Admiral Thissikoran, we need time to consider your offer. Perhaps we could schedule another meeting to discuss terms." The crystal alien's expression turned cold. There are no terms to discuss. You will comply with Federation protocols immediately. Any resistance will be met with appropriate force. As if summoned by those words, new contacts appeared on the Indomitable's sensors. Ships were emerging from hyperspace around them. Within minutes, 12 Federation vessels surrounded the human ship. Lieutenant Commander Choi Min-ah studied her tactical display with growing alarm. Captain, we are surrounded. 3 Vorthak cruisers, 4 Nethys energy ships, and 5 Quillix carriers. Total firepower is approximately 15 times our capability. Lee Dae-ho looked around his bridge. His crew was trained and ready, but this was an impossible situation. Still, surrender was not an option. If the Federation treated First Contact this way, they would never respect humanity. All ships. This is Admiral Thissakoran. The human vessel will surrender immediately and prepare for boarding. Any defensive action will result in your destruction. Commander Woo Jin-soo spoke quietly to the captain. Sir, I have been monitoring their communications. They are using subspace frequencies we have never seen before. But our quantum fold drive creates interference patterns in the same range. What does that mean? I think our drive technology might disrupt their systems if we activate it near them. But I do not know what will happen to us. Lee Dae-ho made his decision. Humanity would not begin its galactic journey on its knees. Admiral Thissakoran, we decline your offer. The Indomitable withdraws from this system. The aliens' anger was visible even through the translation systems. You cannot escape, human. Surrender now or be destroyed. Lieutenant Park, take us out. Of here. Maximum speed. Lieutenant Park Dong-hyun's hands moved across his controls. Quantum fold drive charging, Captain. 30 seconds to jump. The Federation ships immediately began closing in. Energy weapons started charging across the alien fleet. They are targeting our engines, reported Choi Min-ah. Multiple weapons lock detected. Can we jump before they fire? It will be close, sir. Dr. Kim Tae-won suddenly looked up from his station with excitement. Captain, the quantum fold is creating massive subspace disruption. Their targeting systems are being affected. On the alien ships, confusion was spreading. The Vorthak had never encountered technology that interfered with their sensors. The Nethys energy beings were finding their systems disrupted by strange quantum fluctuations. Jump in 10 seconds, Park Dong-hyun announced. The Federation ships opened fire, but their weapons missed as their targeting systems failed. The quantum field around the Indomitable was scrambling their electronics. Jump, Lee Dae-ho ordered. Space twisted around the human ship. The quantum fold drive pulled them out of normal space and into the faster-than-light realm. But something unexpected happened. The quantum field that had protected them from alien weapons also damaged several Federation ships as they jumped. When space returned to normal, the Indomitable was 10 light-years away from the meeting point. Behind them, emergency signals filled. Subspace as the Federation fleet dealt with damaged systems. Report, Lee Dae-ho ordered. Jump successful, Captain, Park Dong-hyun said. We are in the Kepler 438 system. All systems normal. Dr. Kim Tae-won was studying his sensor logs with amazement. Captain, our quantum field disrupted their subspace communication network. At least 3 of their ships suffered system failures. When we jumped, Commander Woo Jin-soo smiled grimly. It seems our technology affects theirs more than we expected. Lee Dae-ho felt both relief and worry. They had escaped, but they had also started a war. The Federation would not forgive this insult. More importantly, they now knew that a single human ship could damage their technology. Communications. Prepare a message for Earth. Tell Admiral Park that First Contact failed. The Federation is hostile and considers humanity inferior. We are returning home immediately. Message sent, Captain. As the Indomitable began its journey back to Earth, none of the crew knew that their escape had been detected by more than just the Federation. Hidden throughout the galaxy, dozens of oppressed species had monitoring stations. They had watched the confrontation with growing excitement. For the first time in centuries, someone had defied the Federation and survived. Word of the human victory began spreading through secret networks that the Federation did not know existed. The galaxy was about to change, and it all started with one ship that refused to surrender. The Indomitable had been running for 3 days when the Federation found them again. This time they came with overwhelming force. Captain, massive hyperspace signatures detected. Lieutenant O.G. Hoon reported with tension in his voice. 27 ships emerging from jump. Lee Dae-ho studied the tactical display with grim determination. The Federation had sent a full battle fleet to capture or destroy his ship. 3 massive Vorthak dreadnoughts led the formation, supported by energy vessels and carrier ships. They are not taking any chances this time, observed Dr. Kim Tae-won, Admiral. Thesakoran's image appeared on the main screen again. The crystal alien looked furious. Human vessel, you have committed acts of aggression against the Federation. Surrender immediately or face total destruction. Lee Dae-ho stood straight and faced the alien commander. Admiral, we acted in self-defense. Your demands were unacceptable to a free people. Free? The alien's crystalline features seemed to glow with anger. Freedom is an illusion for primitive species. You will learn your place through force. The transmission ended, and the Federation fleet began moving into attack formation. Options. Lee Dae-ho asked his crew. Lieutenant Commander Choi Minna studied her tactical display. Captain, they have us completely surrounded. Even our quantum drive cannot charge fast enough to escape before they reach firing range. Commander Woo Jin-soo had been working frantically at an engineering station. Captain, I have an idea. It is dangerous, but it might work. Explain. During our last jump, I noticed that our quantum field created feedback in their systems. If we could create controlled quantum pulses instead of a full jump, we might be able to disrupt their weapons while staying mobile. Dr. Kim Tae-won looked up from his calculations. The energy requirements would be enormous. We would drain our main power systems. But we might survive long enough to find another solution, Woo Jin-soo replied. Lee Dae-ho made his decision quickly. Do it. All hands, prepare for combat maneuvers. Throughout the ship, crew members secured themselves for battle. In the Marine section, Sergeant Major Bae Hyun-woo prepared his troops for possible boarding actions. Captain Na Jun-ho led his company of Marines to defensive positions throughout the ship. Quantum pulse system ready, Woo Jin-soo reported. The Federation ships opened fire with devastating barrages of energy weapons and explosive missiles. The space around the Indomitable filled with deadly light. Activate quantum pulses, Lee Dae-ho ordered. The human ship seemed to flicker in and out of normal space. Each pulse created interference that scattered incoming weapons fire. The Federation ships found their targeting systems confused by the quantum distortions. Direct hit on their lead dreadnought, Choi Minna reported with excitement. Their shields are fluctuating. Lieutenant Park Dong-hyun used the confusion to execute a series of impossible maneuvers. The Indomitable twisted through space like a dancer, avoiding most of the enemy fire while positioning for counterattacks. Target their communication arrays, Lee Dae-ho ordered. If we can disrupt their coordination, we might have a chance. The human ship's weapons were not as powerful as the Federation's, but they were precise. Guided by the quantum disruption, their missiles found gaps in enemy shields and struck critical systems. Chief Petty Officer Song Mi-young worked desperately in damage control as Federation weapons found their target. Hull breach on Deck 12. Emergency teams responding. The battle was fierce but unequal. The Indomitable was fast and unpredictable, but the Federation had overwhelming firepower. Slowly, the human ship's shields began to fail. Captain, we cannot maintain this much longer, Woo Jin-soo warned. The quantum pulse system is overheating. Then Dr. Kim Tae-won made a crucial discovery. Captain, I am detecting something strange. In their fleet formation, the Nethys energy ships are having trouble maintaining cohesion near our quantum field. What does that mean? The Nethys are beings of pure energy. Our quantum disruption might be affecting their physical structure. If we could create a larger pulse, we would need to overload our entire drive system, Wu Jinsu said. The ship might not survive. Li Dai-ho looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. They were tired, scared, but still determined. These people had volunteered to represent humanity among the stars. Now they might die for that choice. If we fail here, the Federation will attack Earth with everything they have, he said quietly. We have to show them that humans cannot be easily conquered. The crew nodded their understanding. They all knew what was at stake. Prepare for quantum overload, Li Dai-ho ordered. The Indomitable's quantum drive began building to dangerous levels. Warning alarms sounded throughout the ship as energy readings climbed far beyond safe limits. The Federation fleet closed in for the final attack. 27 ships concentrated their fire on the human vessel. Now, Li Dai-ho shouted. The Indomitable released a massive quantum pulse that rippled through space like an invisible wave. The effect on the Federation fleet was devastating. The 3 Nethys energy ships simply disappeared, their energy forms scattered by the quantum disruption. 4 Vorthak cruisers lost power as their crystal-based systems overloaded. 2 carrier ships suffered explosive decompression as their hulls cracked. In the chaos that followed, the Indomitable limped away from the battlefield. The ship's quantum drive was damaged, but they were alive. Damage report, Li Dai-ho called out. Quantum drive offline for at least 6 hours, Wu Jinsu reported. But we can repair it. Federation fleet is regrouping, Choi Min-ah added. But they have lost 9 ships. The survivors are maintaining distance. Dr. Kim Tae-wan was monitoring subspace communications. Captain, the Federation is sending emergency signals across the galaxy. They are calling for reinforcements. Li Dai-ho realized the implications. 1 human ship had fought an entire Federation fleet and survived. More importantly, they had proven that Federation technology was not invincible. Send a message to Earth. Tell them what happened here. Humanity needs to prepare for war. As the Indomitable began repairs, news of the battle spread through hidden networks across the galaxy. Species that had been conquered and enslaved by the Federation began to hope. The humans had done the impossible. They had shown that the Federation could be defeated. In secret meetings on 100 worlds, resistance leaders began planning. For the first time in centuries, they had proof that their oppressors were not unstoppable. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes one ship could change everything. 2 weeks after the battle, everything had changed. The Federation's iron grip on the galaxy was starting to crack, and the cracks were spreading fast. On Earth, Admiral Park So-jin stood before the United Earth Council in an emergency session. Representatives from every nation looked worried as she delivered her report. The Federation is mobilizing their entire military, she said. Our deep space sensors show hundreds of ships moving toward human territory. They are not coming to negotiate. President Lim Jae-sung leaned forward. How long do we have? 6 weeks, maybe 8. The Indomitable bought us time, but not much. Admiral Ko Yoon-ji, Earth's new Minister of Interstellar Relations, spoke up. We have received strange communications from unknown sources, encrypted. Messages that seem to be coming from inside Federation space. What kind of messages? Offers of help. Species we have never heard of are asking if we want allies. Meanwhile, the Indomitable was hiding in an asteroid field in the outer rim of the galaxy. The ship's quantum drive had been repaired, but they could not return to Earth. Federation scouts were watching every approach to human space. Captain Li Dai-ho was meeting with Dr. Yoon Hai-ri in the ship's conference room. She had been analyzing the strange signals they were receiving. Captain, I think we have accidentally started a revolution, she said. Explain. These signals are coming from species that the Federation conquered long ago. They have been watching us since our first battle. Our victory proved that the Federation can be beaten. Lee Daeho studied the data on her screen. How many species are we talking about? At least 40 that we know of, maybe more. They have been communicating in secret for centuries, waiting for someone to challenge the Federation successfully. Lieutenant Oh Ji-hoon entered the room with an urgent expression. Captain, we are receiving a direct transmission. The source is requesting permission to approach. From the Federation? No, sir. The ship identifies itself as belonging to the Liberation Protocol. An hour later, a small vessel docked with the Indomitable. The ship was unlike anything humans had seen before. It seemed to be built from parts of many different technologies. The beings that came aboard were equally diverse. There was a tall, thin creature with silver skin, a short being covered in thick fur, and something that looked like a walking tree. But they all shared the same determined expression. The silver-skinned being spoke first. Its voice was translated by portable devices. I am Commander An Yejin of the Silverkin Resistance. We have waited 300 years for this moment. Wait, Dr. Yoon said with surprise. Your name is Korean. The alien smiled. My species learned your languages from your radio transmissions. We chose names that honored the first species to defy the Federation in centuries. Lee Daeho was amazed. These aliens had been studying humanity and adopting human names as symbols of hope. Commander An, what is the Liberation Protocol? A network of 43 species that were conquered by the Federation. We have been preparing for the day when someone would challenge their power successfully. That day is today. The furry being stepped forward. I am Captain Yu Sang-min of the Heartkin Fleets. My people were enslaved 200 years ago. We never forgot our freedom. The tree-like creature communicated through vibrations that their translation devices converted to speech. I am Admiral Ko Yoonji of the Rootkin Armadas. My forests were burned to make way for Federation mining. We seek justice. Lee Daeho realized these beings had taken the names of Earth's leaders as a sign of respect and solidarity. What do you propose? He asked. Commander An activated a holographic display that showed the entire galaxy. Red areas marked Federation strongholds, while small blue dots showed resistance cells. The Federation controls through fear and overwhelming force, but they have grown lazy. Their fleets are spread thin across thousands of systems. If we coordinate our attacks, we can cripple their infrastructure before they can respond. You want to attack simultaneously across the entire galaxy? Yes, hit their communication networks, supply lines, and command centers all at once. Create so much chaos that they cannot coordinate a response. Dr. Yoon Hae-ri studied the plan with growing excitement. This could work, but you would need perfect timing and coordination. Captain Yu pointed to the display. That is where your quantum technology becomes crucial. Federation communications use subspace networks. Your quantum fields disrupt those networks. If human ships coordinate our attacks, we can blind the Federation across multiple sectors. Lee Daeho saw the potential, but also the risks. This plan requires Earth to commit fully to the war. Once we start this, there is no going back. Captain, Commander An said seriously, the Federation has already decided to destroy humanity. Your choice is not between war and peace. It is between fighting back or dying quietly. Lee Daeho knew the alien was right. The Federation would never accept humanity as equals. They would either submit or be destroyed. I need to contact Earth, he said. 3 days later, the response came back from Admiral Park So-jin. Earth's leaders had voted unanimously to support the Liberation Protocol. More importantly, they were sending reinforcements. Captain Yu Sang-min of Earth's Second Fleet arrived with 5 additional human ships. The Earth vessels UES Defiant, UES Resolute, UES Guardian, UES Challenger, and UES Liberator joined the Indomitable in the asteroid field. Captain Lee, the newly arrived Earth captain said with a grin. "Admiral Park sends her regards. She also sends orders. You are hereby promoted to Admiral and given command of the First Liberation Fleet." Lee Dae-ho felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He was no longer just the captain of one ship. He was now leading humanity's first interstellar war. General Hong Soon-ho, Earth's strategic commander, appeared on the main screen, via quantum communication. "Admiral Lee, the plan is approved. Operation Starbreak begins in 72 hours. Across the galaxy, resistance cells prepared for the largest coordinated attack in galactic history. 43 species that had never worked together before were about to strike simultaneously at Federation targets. On Earth, shipyards worked around the clock to prepare more vessels. Humanity was fully committed to the fight. In Federation space, Admiral Taisa Koran was gathering the largest fleet in Vorthak history. He had no idea that his enemies were already inside his territory, waiting for the signal to attack. The galaxy was about to discover that revolution, once started, could spread faster than light. Operation Starbreak began at exactly 800 Galactic Standard Time. Across 47 star systems, the revolution erupted simultaneously. Admiral Lee Dae-ho stood on the bridge of the Indomitable as his fleet approached the Federation's central command station. The massive structure was the size of a small moon and housed the military headquarters for the entire galaxy. "Admiral, all resistance fleets report ready," Commander An Ye-jin announced from her position at the communications station. The Liberation Protocol had integrated their forces with the human fleet, creating the largest rebel armada in galactic history. "Quantum disruption field is active," reported Commander Woo Jin-soo. "Federation communications are being jammed across 12 sectors." The plan was working perfectly. While Lee Dae-ho's combined fleet attacked the command station, 42 other resistance cells struck critical targets throughout Federation space. Supply depots exploded, communication relays went dark, and garrison fleets found themselves cut off and confused. "Federation response fleet approaching," Lieutenant Commander Choi Min-ah announced. 137 ships. Admiral Taisa Koran is leading them personally. Lee Dae-ho smiled grimly. The crystal alien had spent months hunting him. Now they would face each other in the battle that would decide the galaxy's future. "All ships, this is Admiral Lee. Today we fight not just for humanity, but for every species that dreams of freedom. Show them that the age of Federation tyranny is over." The space around the command station erupted in fire and light as two massive fleets collided. But this time the battle was different. The human ships were not alone. Silverkin vessels moved like liquid mercury, impossible to target effectively. Heartkin fighters swarmed Federation cruisers like angry bees. Rootkin bioships regenerated damage faster than the enemy could inflict. Most importantly, the human quantum technology was coordinating everything. Each time Federation ships tried to communicate or coordinate, quantum fields scrambled their signals. "Direct hit on the command station's main reactor," Captain Na Jun-ho reported from the Liberator. "Their power grid is failing." On Earth, President Lim Jae-sung watched the battle through quantum communication links. The entire planet was holding its breath as their representatives fought for the future of free civilization. "Mr. President," Admiral Park So-jin said with excitement, "we are receiving reports from across the galaxy. The revolution is succeeding. Federation forces are in full retreat in 28 sectors." The tide of battle was turning, but the Federation was not finished. Admiral Taisa Koran's personal dreadnought, a crystal mountain 3 kilometers long, was pushing through the rebel lines toward the Indomitable. "He wants a personal fight," Dr. Kim Tae-wan observed. "Then let's give him one," Lee Dae-ho replied. Indomitable broke from the main battle and faced the massive Vorthak dreadnought alone. It was David versus Goliath again, but this time David had learned new tricks. "Maximum quantum pulse, all power to forward shields," Lee Dae-ho ordered. The two ships closed with each other, weapons blazing. The dreadnought's crystal hull could absorb enormous damage, but the quantum disruption was interfering with its regeneration systems. Their hull is beginning to fracture, Dr. Kim reported. The quantum field is preventing their self-repair mechanisms from functioning. Lieutenant Park Dong-hyun executed a brilliant maneuver, bringing the Indomitable under the larger ship's firing arcs while maintaining the quantum disruption. "Target their command crystal," Lee Dae-ho ordered. The Indomitable's missiles struck the heart of the enemy ship. Admiral Thissakaran's image appeared on the screen one last time, his crystal features cracking and fading. "This is not possible," the alien gasped. "Freedom always finds a way," Lee Dae-ho replied. The Vorthak dreadnought broke apart, its crystal hull shattering into millions of pieces. With their leader defeated, the remaining Federation forces began to surrender or flee. But the real victory was happening across the galaxy. On 43 worlds, enslaved populations were rising up. Federation garrison forces, cut off from command and reinforcement, were being overwhelmed by sheer numbers. The three ruling species found their empire crumbling faster than they could respond. The Vorthak military was in chaos with their fleet commander dead. The Nethys energy beings could not function properly with quantum interference disrupting their communication networks. The Quillex trading empire collapsed as supply lines were severed. "Admiral, we are receiving surrender requests from Federation fleets in 17 sectors," Commander An reported with amazement. 3 days later, the war was effectively over. The Federation's central government had collapsed, and their fleets were either destroyed, surrendered, or scattered to the outer rim. Lee Dae-ho found himself aboard the captured command station, now serving as the headquarters for something entirely new. Representatives from over 60 species had gathered to create a new galactic government. "We propose calling it the Galactic Alliance," Dr. Yoon Hae-ri suggested during the Constitutional Convention. "A true democracy where all species have equal voice." The Silverkin representative, still using the name Commander An Ye-jin in honor of her human inspiration, agreed enthusiastically. "No more ruling castes, no more slave species. Every world gets to choose its own destiny." President Lim Jae-sung arrived from Earth to participate in the historic moment. He was amazed by what humanity had accomplished in just a few months. "6 months ago, we thought we were alone in the universe," he said to the assembly. "Today, we help create a government that represents thousands of worlds and billions of beings. This shows what we can accomplish when we work together." The Alliance Charter was signed by representatives of 64 species. It established principles of democracy, freedom, and mutual cooperation that would govern the galaxy for generations to come. Admiral Lee Dae-ho was offered the position of Alliance Supreme Commander, but he declined. He had a different mission in mind. "The galaxy is big," he told the assembly. "There are probably hundreds of other species out there that we have never met. Some might be threatened by new powers like the old Federation. The Alliance needs explorers and protectors." He was given command of the first exploration fleet, tasked with finding new civilizations and helping them join the galactic community as equals. The Indomitable would continue to travel among the stars, but now as a herald of freedom rather than a lone defender. As his ship prepared to depart for unknown regions of space, Lee Dae-ho reflected on the journey that had brought them here. One ship sent to make peaceful contact had ended up starting a galactic revolution. "Course laid in for the Andromeda approach vector," Lieutenant Park Dong-hyun reported. "Take us out, Lieutenant. Let's see what else is out there." The Indomitable jumped to faster-than-light speed, carrying the message of the Alliance to distant stars. Behind them, the galaxy was already changing. Trade routes that had been restricted for centuries were opening up. Technologies that had been hoarded by the ruling species were being shared freely. Art, culture, and ideas flowed between worlds that had been isolated for generations. Humanity had arrived in the galaxy as unwelcome newcomers. They were leaving as the founders of a new age of freedom and cooperation. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly how they wanted it.